Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order this evening for the Plan Commission. If we can rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we'll start with roll call at this end.
Austin Woods. David Schwagman.
Mark McGowan,
Bruce Black.
Corey Lyon,
JJ Backman.
Josh Mangold.
Matt Jarvis.
Michelle Jarvis. Nicole Bailey.
Okay. So this evening, there's two things to be looked at, and for expediency, we're going to look at the new business first. As a zone map amendment to change property from R1 to Ag for Amanda McCartney on 1413 Sunnyside Avenue and Dogtail Lane. And Nicole, if you'd like to begin with that, that'd be great.
Okay, so this is for a rezone, what their request is from going from R1 to an agricultural district. There are 3 parcels that are included in this request, and it's approximately 36 acres. The general character of the property is agricultural, a lot of open ground. And there were 45 letters that were mailed out on this for this process. This is the same process as we would be going through further, except it's just a straight rezone request. Therefore, any motions made here will be a favorable, unfavorable, or no recommendation to the city council. And in your the packets that you've had, the first image is just those that were within the 500 feet of the property that were notified by certified mail. And again, I will reiterate, there's not a definition on parties of interest in the Aurora Code, and that's how the state code use it. So in notifying, we use the county's 500, above or 500 feet outside the entire property. So we would use the boundary of the 36 acres. The second image is the current zoning map. That blue line is the Aurora city limits. Therefore, anything on that northern or western part of the boundary is the zoning for the county. So as you see, even with the R1 for the city, there is residential and agricultural also within the general area of their requests. And then on the back of the page, the first image, you will see the copy of the comprehensive plan, the future land use map, and in the upper upper left-hand corner, the property is outlined in the red, and that is the area that we are talking about, and that yellow is residential. It is an R1 residential designation. And then just to give you an idea of the topography map that is also in the report, you can see the back of the property has some hillsides and valleys. And of course, there is no floodplain in the property itself. And as far as this request, I didn't find any issues with reverting it back to agricultural with the size of the lot. Even though the comprehensive plan shows residential growth, reverting back, just because of the being on the edge of the city, there were no issues with that because of the character of the property and being so large. And staff on this would recommend a favorable recommendation on this request. Outside of that, staff had no other comments in reviewing this application. And if the board has any questions for me on this.
Anybody have any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend a favorable recommendation to council.
Hang on.
Open comment.
Oh, hang on. So we have a motion for favorable. Do I have a second?
We have to open it to
Hang on.
public comment.
Hang on. We have a second?
I'll
Okay.
second.
So we have a second on that. Is there anyone here that has any comment about this change in the code that would like to speak?
Are the owners here?
Yes, I'm here. I would like to say.
Hang on a second. If you're going to speak, if you can go to the mic over there so it can be picked up. Thank you.
I would like to say this piece of property, we're the second owner of this property since the homestead land grants. It's always been in agriculture. It's been farmed continuously since the 1800s. We have raised livestock on there. We've owned this property for about 46 years. We do select timber harvest periodically, very select. When we get done with that, you can't even really tell that anything's been done. We've been associated with the Soil and Water Conservation Group, making sure we control erosion. Everything's in grass or woodland. We have yet to ever receive a complaint with our operation in 46 years. And what we're asking is, when we bought the property, it was in the city, we knew that. We checked with the city at the time, and we also checked with the county. And they assured us that we were grandfathered agriculture. And we continued to operate under that premise since 1979. You know, our family bought this for a long-term piece of property for the entire family, and we're getting ready to hand it to the next generation. Have any questions for me? And we are, as Nicole said, we're basically aligned with two sides on the county now. When we bought the farm, we had farms all the way around us, and we're the last one standing. So, and we have improved the property tremendously over the years. So,
All right. Thank you.
and we paid city taxes on our livestock, our equipment throughout. You know, we knew that going in, no issue. And we'll continue to do so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that has a comment that would like to come up and speak? Okay. Seeing none, we have a favorable recommendation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So the second thing we have this evening is the zone map amendment to change property from R1 to PUD. Land consultants and Emmert Leffler. And Nicole, I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, this is a tabled item on the PUD rezone request. I'm going to go through, so in the staff report, I updated the staff report, and on there, and the item number 6 is where I'm just going to begin, as those were the items that were in the motion from last meeting. The full staff report gives everything, but focusing just for the first part of this meeting on what was requested. The developer agreed to provide sidewalks on both sides. That was mentioned, that has been adjusted. In this, the board requested a traffic study. Components of traffic information for this type of development has been submitted. Also, just as a secondary precaution, I did have the county highway engineer go out there. He just provided a email to me. He went out there and checked site distance. The intersection, he stated, was 150 feet, over 150 feet from State Route 148. And in both direction is sufficient site distance at that proposed intersection. And he didn't see anything or issues with He's also reviewed the traffic information that was provided. He did a site visit and looked at the traffic information that was provided. Didn't see any issues on that or anything that would cause him to recommend any improvements. Now, he did say if the city decided to make it like a three-way stop because there were concerns, it is still a possibility to do so, but it didn't, the traffic information did not push that up to where it is needed or should be required. So he wanted that to be explained as well. Also, the board requested that all items through A through F be addressed and met. The developer provided all of those requirements. There were 2 items that were not applicable to this request, which was the D and the I. So those were changed in the staff report for note not applicable. And I can go through each one of those individually here in a minute, just to go over what they were. The board is requesting that the 3 staff recommendations be addressed. Those staff recommendations that were listed in the staff report have been addressed and have been taken care of. And I'll just go through those real quick just because there were 3 of them. The stormwater system had been noted the pipes and catch basins related to the street would be publicly maintained. The detention would be privately maintained. And the developer provided stormwater calculations that were reviewed by the county highway engineer and the county surveyor's office as well. Those and myself, those are the main people that typically review this kind of information through a tech review when we get into improvement plans. Nobody saw anything that jumped out as far as the calculations. So how they do is the basis of the detention is, does it exceed the pre-development drainage? And it does not. So it makes it equal for pre-development and post-development, equal for any drainage that exits the property. The developer had indicated the design of the street not to exceed 7%. So that was a question just because of the way that the city's ordinance reads, with the maximum percentage being 12%. And they have provided that in some conceptual design, it would not exceed 7% at any point of the roadway. And that, and the other reason, so the last one was, the comment, staff comment was on accessory structures. The only reason that was brought up is because when you're looking at a PUD, you're looking at any components that may need to be different from the actual zoning ordinance, especially when someone comes in for improvements. So once the property owns this, one of those is, will you follow the city's ordinance on accessory structures or have your own? They opted to just stay with the city's ordinance, which is 6 feet from the property line, just to match that so there's no difference in any review process or permitting process. So those 3 were met. And then board requested stormwater calculations, those were provided. And then the board requested a plan that would demonstrate the minimum density the developer could provide for the site. The developer did provide a revised plan, and the lots in it went from the buildable lots went from 35 to 30. So the lot change, the overall lot change was 32 to 30, or 32 from 37 to 32. Sorry, I'm getting those numbers mixed up. But in overall, the 2 acres would be open space on that. So I'm going to go real quickly through the requirements because some of those have changed. The ones that were in 152.166, that was the A through M items, and I'm going to go through those real quick. A was just if there were any provisions that were not in the ordinance or different from the zoning ordinance and the PUD. Nothing in there for that. With the density, the density is still under the required for an R1 standard. As 36 lots could meet the density for 8.266 or 8.26 acres, and now they've taken it down to 30. All uses that may be allowed within the land district can be permitted within a PUD. They're requesting single-family development, so that fits in with an R1 zoning district anyway if you're looking at a PUD. Up to 10% of the land area, anything going for commercial or public, quasi-public. This is not applicable to their proposal as it doesn't have any other different uses other than a single-family residential. E, a minimum parcel area of 5 acres. This is being met because the total acreage is 8.26. With the next one on F, at least 10% of the land be for open space, recreation, park, or no buildings, parking, driveways, or streets. And then no more than 50% of that space being covered by water. I already did the calculations of what was submitted. The proposed open space actually increased from last time to 1 acre or 106 acres, making the percentage at 12.8, which meets the requirement of greater than 10%. And then taking a look at the detention area, it would cover 0.19 acres, and that is only 17.9% of the open space, therefore meeting that requirement that it must be under 50%. If we go to G on the open space, requirement, the HOA will control the access and maintenance, and the property owners will be assessed to fund maintenance of open space. Therefore, that requirement is being met. And then typically, we don't require those specific wording on how they're going to do it, as far as like an HOA covenants and restrictions and documents, until the improvement plans or in the secondary plan. And H, all utilities be underground. They have also put in there in their the submittal, all utilities will be installed underground as to meet this requirement. And I, the design of a private street, that is not applicable because they're proposing a public street. In J, the homeowners association and bylaws, again, they are proposing to prepare this document and have it available through the improvement plan phase of it. But they are stating here that there will be a document to control that. Usually we get a concept of what that looks like in a primary plat just to see how they're moving towards that. But it definitely has to be done before it's recorded if this goes through. So anything for selling of any lots, it would be defined and recorded so that there's no questions that that's included. Sanitary sewer system, they will have public sanitary sewer, therefore this requirement is being met. And M, the plan of the project shall provide for the integrated and harmonious designs of the buildings. And this was being met as the total 5 acres. They've also shown an area of the outside that will remain with the trees that are existing, and they've provided a buffer area to screen up front as well. And they've also, with this, they've actually also acknowledged that they will be planting the trees at 40 to 60 feet integral from center to center of the trees. And then there will be sidewalks on both sides. This street, proposed street is 28 feet from back of curb to back of curb, which meets the basis of the Aurora Code. There is a little discrepancy in the ordinance based on the width of the street. There is a part where it states that anything under 23,000 square feet must be 35 but actually contradicts itself. So it gives, states the same thing in 2 different locations, but I think it's supposed to be higher and lower, but it actually doesn't say that. It's hard to kind of go through there and require that as it doesn't make sense, and it contradicts its own self. But 28 feet from back to curb to back to curb, if you don't have the curbs in Aurora for a local street, you are able to do a 20-foot street. So it is higher than the typical 28-foot street that is listed as a local street. And then the requirement for 30 dwelling units for the subdivision, now that they've on a dead-end street, now that they've lowered it to 30, this meets that particular one as well. They did also make some changes to the proposed subdivision dimensional setbacks and stuff. So the minimum lot area is now 4,535 square feet. But the ranges of the lots are from that, and the highest being 39,444 square feet. The average of the lots, of the 30 lots, taking just the acreage for the lots, this does not include the roads or anything like that. Average lot size now is 9,075 square feet. They've changed the minimum lot width. Now they're proposing 40-foot wide, minimum rear, or front yard setback 25, rear yard setback at 25, and side yard setback 5, for a total of 10 feet between buildings. That would be the minimum. Does the board have any questions for me?
The average lot size, were they calculating the green space as a lot?
So if you do 32 lots. So in order to come up with that 9,000, the minimum, or the average lot size, I took each size of the lot and just divided it by the acreage. I just put it in an Excel sheet and calculated it.
What about owner occupancy? Is it going to be restricted to that? Owner occupancy as opposed to potential rental properties?
So,
We can ask the applicant about that for instead of,
I got that question.
yeah.
I don't have any questions.
I don't know.
Does the board have any further questions?
The biggest issue that I have is the setbacks. And the city has minimums, and they're not meeting those minimums. Matter of fact, they're blowing some of them out of the water. You know, the rear setback, 35 is our minimum that we pass. And they're asking for 15. That's a big difference.
They've changed it to 20, the rear, they've changed it to 25.
Yeah.
And then I got a different sheet here then.
Here. Look right there at the bottom.
How about
On their letter, they tell me they made a mistake that the rear, that is actually gonna be 25.
And the other problem is the side setback. I understand our minimum is 12, and they want to go down to 5. Is that correct?
Yes.
10.
I'll follow on
Well,
each.
10.
Yeah. Any other questions, Bruce?
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out to everybody.
That's good.
I'm not in favor of that
Okay.
kind of change to erratic.
Okay.
But go ahead.
No, I just want to make sure you had all you had to say.
Thank you.
Has anyone else got any questions on the board?
You're good. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak this evening? Okay. Please state your name.
My name is Debbie Abrams Panis. I realize that you say that we need more housing
wrong with living down here in town. But we like to have, you know, we love how it is. Everyone that, usually there's a bunch of us that come down here, we love how it is. Everybody has said that, and we keep on dragging this out. If they really wanted to build houses, if they wanted to add, then they would just keep it in R1. They wouldn't keep on dragging this out. I don't want a bunch of people crammed into an area where I live. I mean, if I have to, and I realize that you guys don't care if several of us move away or whatever, and, you know, and you guys can bulldoze down our houses and, you know, and build more houses on top of it, they compact or whatever. But most of us are law-abiding citizens. What are you going to get when everybody's crammed into one area? And I'm not saying that there's a bunch of riffraff that will move in, but you don't know what is going to move in. We value having a safe community. And I'm not saying you won't be still safe, but we have a safe community. And so I believe that we need to keep it in R1. If they really value adding houses, keep it in R1 where they can move on ahead. That's what I have to say about that.
Thank you.
If you want to make one correction in that, is that for the setbacks on there, so with the 25 being that, there will be a few that will meet the 25. More of them will actually exceed that and actually meet the required 35 because of the depth of the lots. So the reason why they do the 25 is just that those few, so you're looking at lot 1, lot 2, 30, lot 3, actually lot 3 will, and then lot 29.
Nicole, I have a question about this map. If you look, let's just take lot 2, for example. If you see that little line that runs down each side of the lot, is that the 5-foot setback line? Is that what that line is?
Yes, so the
Okay.
dashed lines that run,
Okay.
so you have the property line which is solid, and then the dashed lines, that is indicating the 5 foot.
I thought that was the case. I just want to verify.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, none of these are really closer than 10 feet is the point I'm trying to make. So,
And I will also, so, in a single-family residential, the side yard, state, it's different depending on if it's a 1 to 1.5 story or 2 to 2.5 story house. So the lot minimum lot side yard ranges from 10 to 12. So there is a difference depending on the, if it's in, single stories or single and a half story. That's where, up to 2 stories is where it changes. So just to change that. But when I did talk to them about the rear yard setback because of their letter, I asked them just because everything, there was nothing close to 15 feet as they requested before. So the reason why they kept it at 25 is those few lots had to be at least the 25, everything exceeded Aurora's minimum rear lot.
Hypothetical question, how many lots can they do with their minimums all met? Approximately, I know that you might not have the answer there, but what would they have to take it down to meet our minimums?
I couldn't tell you without actually measuring everything out, and to actually have the program, because even though they're exceeding the 5 feet that they want as the minimum, I think they've left it at 5 feet to be able to adjust those houses in there, depending on when a builder would get in there, they have the adjustment point to make that. But they left the room in there to be able to make those adjustments, and not as tight as the last plan showed. So that's actually a positive, that they have a little bit more wiggle room to, in the final stage of construction, that wiggle room is there. But I couldn't tell you how many lots, because there's a couple of them that way exceed that, and depending on the angle of them, I couldn't tell you, but they have to get down to meet everything.
right, but there's the closest one as far as the 10 foot.
Does the board have any other questions?
I have a question about the HOA. When they set that up, is there some sort of stipulation that says these residences are going to be single-family owner occupied, or will they, I know that you might not be able to answer this, are they going to allow rentals, short-term, long-term rentals in there? I guess it depends on how your HOA writes the rules and covenants.
Meg Aston, Shape Development Group. Yeah, the HOA, ours typically restricts, their short-term rentals is not allowed.
Okay.
Long-term rentals are usually allowed at a small percentage, but usually it's like 5%.
Okay.
Is the restriction. So the goal is owner occupied.
Sure. I just wanted to ask that question.
And then if you meet the 75-foot minimum width, I think that's the question, like how many lots would you have on this site? It's 16. So you lose half the lots.
If this gets passed, are apartments and condos restricted?
Yeah, you can't, no, this is the plan. You can't do anything but single family, detached homes. Yeah, the other question on the setbacks, there's really only two that don't meet the 35 foot.
It's not so much the setback, it's the side yard.
Yeah. And I understand.
That's the one that's big.
Yeah, and I understand.
Because
We built-
compared to the neighborhood, that's gonna look really compact in there.
Well, this is set back. If you look at the map, it's set back away from everybody. You're 200 feet back before the first house.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're gonna have houses along Woodlawn that are right on each other and then transition. It's its own kind of enclave. I understand that, but we build subdivisions with these side yards all over the region. It's kind of the norm at this point, unfortunately. Just because.
What's the average price are you shooting for?
The price has gone up a little bit because of the yard, the width of the lot, and then we will have the ability to do walkout basements just because of the topography, so we'll probably about 300,000. Will be the average price.
So about $9 million project.
Yeah. So, for the home builder, we're not building the houses. We're just selling the lots.
Total return,
Yeah.
just roughly.
Total revenue, not revenue.
Okay.
Not return.
You're not gonna net that.
No, not even close.
I have a question.
Yeah,
So in your short-term rentals, you won't have Airbnbs, that'll be non,
it's gonna be restricted.
okay, all right, just want to make sure that's not in there.
Yeah. So anything less than 12 months is usually, our HOA is pretty,
Perfect.
probably more
Perfect.
stringent than.
Perfect, I just wanted to make sure that it's
But
perfect.
yeah, so anything less than 12 months is not allowed usually. But yeah, I think we tried to address all the comments, and this is fortunately the least number you guys asked, but the lowest number of lots we could do to make it work. And this is it. So, happy to answer any other questions that might be.
With the PUD that you put in there.
Pat, if you're going to speak, come up to the mic.
Banning Airbnb.
Pat, if you're going to speak, come up here so we can hear you.
Yeah, short-term rentals are not allowed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment this evening?
One you can answer. Terry on with resident 314 Woodlawn, city council. I appreciate Josh maybe bringing that up. That was a question I forgot to ask last month. What was about occupancy, how under an HOA, and you assume that's going to be over occupancy. You say in the developments, it's minimalizing that potential for rental to 5%. Will that be addressed within the language of the PUD? That it cannot exceed that?
If you're going to answer that, you're going to have to come up here so we have it on record.
I'll sit next to Austin for a second. You go ahead and give the answer.
Yeah, that can be written into the PUD. That doesn't matter to us because in the HOA covenants, they get reported on the lots as well. So essentially, it's the same.
Which,
It's like a
that's
deed.
one of the
It's a deed
advantages.
restricted. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I think that speaks
So I have another thing.
Hang on a second, hang on a second.
Wait till you get up there, it won't be
Wait just a
recorded.
second. Okay, go ahead.
Hopefully that speaks to some of the concern as far as, if there is development within our neighborhood. I mean, owner occupancy is generally not going to be, folks that are typically poor neighbors to begin with, I don't think. And with the price range that this is coming in at,
Yeah.
I think we're
It,
a little protected.
yeah, I will say at that sell price, it doesn't make sense to rent it in this environment. So,
This is a
I
city
mean,
that
some-
has a
yes.
high concentration.
some people might be silly enough to try to, but it's a very foolish endeavor. So, yeah.
Have additional comment?
So on the HOA, if we're supposed to be building this into smaller lots so people can afford, a house, and we're gonna have an HOA fee, why don't we keep it in R1, not have the HOA, and then people can afford the same thing when you have an additional cost on it, because HOAs are not free.
Thank you.
I mean, I can
HOA
do what
would
they
be
want,
about
and they're gonna put
Take
in
you out.
restrictions, and it looks like crap.
Well, it'll be a lot less
Adds
than,
up.
it'll be a lot less than double the lot size, which would then be a $600,000 house, so. Yeah,
But over time, HOA fees usually go up, just like our property taxes and our taxes in general, so things go up. So if you're trying to keep costs down, keep it in R1, and you still end up with the same thing.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments? Nicole, do you have any?
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, also, if we let them keep it a R1, they can kind of build
I think we
35
all know
houses and do what they want.
where I own the property that Shinky's trying to buy to develop. I've got two items I want to bring up. Number one, in the 2000 census, City of Aurora had 3,965 permanent residents. In 2020, Aurora had 3,479, for a loss of 486 in 20 years. Most of that's due to the fact houses on Conwell Street, all around town have been torn down and turned into the city needs housing. Whether I do it, they do, or somebody else does, the city needs housing. The last comment I want to make is if my partner, back in 2008, had done what he was supposed to do, we'd already have 64 homes built up. Not 30, 64, because that's what we were approved for by city council in 2008. All I can say is, anybody got any questions?
The comment that I have is
Thank you.
we absolutely need more housing, definitely understand that.
Nicole, do you have anything else?
I didn't have anything else to add.
Okay.
Oh, I will add though, as far as with the procedure, we're looking at it, in the original, when we were looking at this originally with this middle, the houses, they will, or what they're proposing as far as with their examples that they have built in 2 stories.
Okay. All right, thank you. Does the board have any further comments? All right. I'd entertain a motion. Sorry. Oh, I recommend a motion for a favorable,
Favorable or unfavorable?
or favorable.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Favorable.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Do we have a second? All right, motion dies. I entertain any motion that the board wishes to make at this time.
And again, there's 4 options, so it's a favorable recommendation. And I would also put in there, if you're doing a recommendation, especially for a favorable, that they have to meet everything that they presented tonight, because that's how things will go from here on It's favorable, unfavorable, no recommendation, or table. Those are the options of voting.
Anyone on the board wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion of a non-favorable.
Have a motion for non-favorable. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a first and a second for non-favorable. Is there any comment by the board?
My main decision is all the minimums that our planning committee came up with over the years. But anyway, go ahead.
All in favor of unfavorable, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Raise your right hand. Did we get that recorded?
JJ and David opposed, okay.
Okay. Recommendation of the Planning Commission is unfavorable to City Council. Is,
If I could ask, just as far as Austin, the next, just to put it out there, the next date, I will be sending a certification of their motion to council, but in requesting a date, when's the next council meeting? 13th?
October 13th,
Okay.
7 p.m.
At 7? And just so the board knows, so, with your motion, I do a certification within 10 days of this meeting to the council, with the application that was submitted, and your motion, in there. I typically request that it be placed on their agenda, for the meeting that we announced, October 13th, but they do have 90 days to hear it. So generally, when I ask that we put on the agenda, they typically put it on the agenda, but whether they hear it or table it, they have 90 days to hear it.
is there any other business for the, yes,
So
sir?
just for clarification, council has the final say, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Correctly. Is there anything else before the Planning Commission this evening? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will give a heads up to anybody that's on the BZA, there will be a BZA next month.
Okay, appreciate that. So entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Who's second?
All right.